Now, King of Soca, the biography of Marshall Montano, written by his mother, Mrs. Elizabeth Montano, has won top honors in the 14th Annual International Book Awards. And joining us this morning to talk more about it, we have Mrs. Elizabeth Montano, known fondly by us all as Lady. Mrs. Montano, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us on Now.
Good morning, Kimberly. Nice
Good
to be with
morning.
you.
First of all, congratulations. I know this isn't the first award that the book has won, but tell us, is this win any different for you? I mean, initial thoughts following the announcement.
Well, I'm always excited by any little win that I get or any little acknowledgement, because I am a first time author. So I was very surprised, but I was very elated.
Yeah, and being among other winners, I mean, what does it say for the book itself?
Well, the book is one that is quite different. It is an international an award, and this book is really based on a Caribbean artist coming out who is just 48 years of age, but has been in the business for 41 now. So I think it is extraordinary. And I think that the book, how it was presented, was very impressive.
Yeah.
A lot of work went into it. Yes.
Well, I mean, for those who have not gotten the opportunity to read it as yet, tell us how the book was presented, because I mean, you gave a first-hand sort of knowledge and experience and window into who we know as the King of Soca, Double M, and all those things. But you gave some really, really behind-the-scenes little tidbits, and so tell us how that was presented.
Well, first, again, this book was an adaptation or is an adaptation of my thesis
Yeah.
when I graduated in my master's degree in philosophy. I did this as my dissertation, and I always wanted to present something to the nation, to the Caribbean, and to the world about what we can do to be successful, even if we start small or with nothing. So
Yeah.
I said during the pandemic, I sat down and I decided to adapt it to the book, and it involves 40 years of Michelle's journey. And I was sort of motivated both by positive, um, what should I say, positive comments, positive thoughts, things that people think they know. And I wanted just to make sure that I could share that part of Michelle's journey, the entertainment part, the behind the stage, and that real life or lived
Yeah.
experiences. So
Yeah.
I did it in about three or four decades, and I showed the early years, I showed the difficult years, I showed the years of HD, and then I moved into Monk, and I gave a little insight into the future. And here I use my voice. I use the voice of Michelle and some other people who have experienced Michelle over the years.
Yeah. Was it difficult for you to be um, an honest author? And I ask that because not only are you his former manager, you're also his mother as well. And so you are painting a picture of your son who is still very much in the business as well, knowing very well that some of the things that you write may turn some people or encourage them to love him more. And so how were you able to present the facts as opposed to getting your sort of feelings in that? Or were you able to separate the two, feeling and truth?
Well, you can never separate your feeling from the truth, right? And you have to be subjective sometimes in life. But luckily for me, by profession, I'm a guidance counselor. So
Mm.
I know how to leave my emotions or my own belief behind and share the truth. So therefore I was able to do it very easily because I've always believed and I've taught my children about honesty and about being truthful. And I really, really believe that our stories must be told. And I think that Marshall has a lot to share. Um, I will say teach, but I don't want it to be that everybody feels that this is the way they must do it to
Yeah.
succeed. But this is an example, and an example that was based on core values that were inculcated in not just Marshall, but also in Marcus and all the young people that were in our charge.
Yeah. And Mrs. Montano, do you believe that you have a story to tell as well? Because you mentioned we all have our stories. I mean, are you going to be the one to write your own autobiography, or do you think that someone may write something about you as well in the future?
Well, I would like to write my memoirs, but I am still working with this book, with the biography. And I hope that I have enough time because I am now going into 73,
Mm.
but I feel that someday I will share because I had a very beautiful childhood. And luckily for me, I have a lot of memories and I live very close to everything in my past. I live close to
Yes.
my primary school, my secondary school, where I was born, where I made my children, the village I grew up in, so my memories as a child, even a teenager, an adult, is very close to my heart. And I would love to share it. And I had what you say, a very simple but somewhat a background that some of us know about. I grew up with
Mm.
just my mother and my grandmother and a sister, and we were able to be quite successful.
Yeah. Now, Mrs. Montana, you hinted on the development of this book. Is it that we're going to see a second one? Is it that we're going to see it from a different angle? This King of Soca?
No, no, no. It's just that I want to share it with the world. I have started to do some different launches, like I launched in the US, I launched in Jamaica. So I want to continue. I want to talk at universities. I want to be able to talk in schools. I want to, share the knowledge because what is most important and very, very dear to me is the importance, as I said before, inculcating these core values that your kids can live up to. And when people ask me, lady, you must be very proud that your sons are successful. One is a pilot, one is an entertainer. And I always tell them that my proud moments and my husband's Monty is that we could look back and see that those values that we taught our boys are now manifesting in them as men.
Yeah.
And I think that this is important for parents to know, and especially where we are now and some of the experiences we are having. The parent, the home is so important. And it isn't that you must have a mother or father in the home, but as long as you have a parent that is able to teach and even set examples, you are sort of prepared for a positive future with your kids.
Yeah. Mrs. Montano, I realize that you're also drawing on your knowledge as a guidance counselor, and you keep mentioning those core values. I mean, for some of the parents listening now, can you share at least three that you would encourage parents to inculcate in their children?
For example, integrity, honesty, hard work, the value of education, resilience. Some of these are so important. And I think that if we spend time to teach our children, a simple thing as if my child came home with a pencil or book that is not his, I don't let him keep it. I let him take it back. I also share that I told my children, even nappy, some of those kids, I said, tell me the truth because that is all I need to know. And then I am going to support you no matter what.
Yeah.
So I think that Monty and I did well. We taught our children to read. We taught them the importance of education. Monty and I were part of the Black Power movement, and our children were born during that period. And we taught them the importance of sharing, the importance of loving your own, the importance of making a difference, the importance of contributing to the development of your nation, and I think that when I look back, I can say I'm very proud.
Yeah. Mrs. Montana, you mentioned a lot of looking back in terms of what you would have taught your children. But I mean, based on what you're seeing now, are you seeing some of those core values among the young people? And if you're not, how can we get back to that time where children understood exactly what was important?
Well, I look at some children. There are some specific children that I am looking at, and I share with their parents. Right? I see some of the same qualities that Michelle had as a child, and I see that these children are moving along that same path.
Mm.
And again, I believe in sharing knowledge. So I will talk to these parents, and I'll tell them to support your child. To see what is your child's interest. And once you see there is an interest, you have to encourage it, because one of the important things for Michelle's success is Michelle has and had a very strong support system. Some of our parents tend to want to shut up children when they express themselves, or if they want to do something that is not conventional, we try to encourage them to go the other way. For example, we know if you wanted to be a calypsonian or a pan man, that was not heard of in the days past. But look at where we have reached now, because we have insisted. So I think that it is very, very important. And there are young ones coming up. As I said, I like to observe children. My whole life has been, working with young people, and I encourage them, and I stay with them along the way, and see how much I can be of influence. But I
Yeah.
think that we do have a lot of children. There's always hope.
Yeah. And Mrs. Montano, words of advice for children who look up to Marshall and other soca artists and want to be in that arena, not knowing that behind the success there are challenges as well. Any words of advice to get them through the tough times that are definitely going to come?
One of the things I want to advise children and even their parents is that when you look at people that you feel are your role models, you must be able to decide what you would like to follow. You must be able to look at the positives. Don't only go, not everybody is perfect, but some of us, as I look around, we tend to want to follow the negative things. Let us be able to have that understanding that we could choose some and leave some. And I think that this is all that we need to know. Know what you want to do, and know what out of what this other person might be experiencing that you would like to be. If you find, for example, like Marshall is very interested in his education and you think this is very good, then you should do the same.
Yeah.
But as I've said, you have to be able to choose between what you should and should not follow. As
Yeah.
I said in my I always say, I don't expect my children, or I don't expect other people to be my children's role model, because I am the parent and I am the one who will set those boundaries. But it is also very good for you to look at people who have been successful and try and see and know what it is that they did, not to follow exactly, but have an idea. And I think this is what the King of Soca does. Because in that book, I show you the good times, the bad times, the hard times, and it has not been an easy journey for Marshall, not at all. But most importantly, Marshall has always been very focused. He's always very serious from very small, and he persists. He's very resilient. We have had a lot of times when we met negative things coming at us, where we had failures, but Marshall always got up.
Yeah.
He's also another important thing. You have to be willing to take risks,
Mm.
calculated risks, if you want to be different.
Yeah.
If you want to be a great success, you cannot play within the box. It doesn't happen like that. And you have to work hard, and you have to be willing to give.
Of course. And Mrs. Montano, before you go, I have to ask Marshall's thoughts on the win. I mean, I know he would have heard about it by now. Has he shared with you his thoughts on this distinction as well?
We are always we always share everything. We're always excited for one another, and we are always involved in each other's projects.
Yeah.
Like when I was writing, I would say, Mash, look at this, double check this. So everything that comes out of every action from our family is always celebrated as a big win, but we are always very humble and very thankful for
Yeah.
whatever we receive.
Nice. Mrs. Montano, always a pleasure to have you on this show. Let me thank you so much for joining us this morning. Again, congratulations on the win, this international win for King of Soca. And I look forward to interviewing you again, because I know as you take the book globally, it's going to win another award and just keep winning awards for us. So thank you again for joining us this morning, and congratulations again.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. It was a pleasure.
Have a good one. And that was Mrs. Elizabeth Montano, of course, the mother of the King of Soca, Marshall Montano, talking about an international award for the King of Soca, the biography of Marshall Montano. You're on the Now Morning Show. We're going to take a break and be right back. Stay with us.